Now that I was looking at Dells, I realized it was finally time to look for that one machine I used to have on my desktop wallpaper back in the 2010s. It wasn't a modern machine back in the day by any means, but now that I had better sources, I knew exactly where to seek it and finally get my hands on one. Coincidentally, it was from the same year as the XPS M1210 we saw in the last video. So here is a gaming notebook from another time, the Dell XPS M1710. I've talked about my fascination with older Dell XPS and Alienware notebooks, and one of the clear commonalities between these two lineups that would attract a younger me from the 2010s was the lights. But this isn't just another one of those machines, but instead a special one. Having it in front of me in person instead of seeing it on a computer screen was priceless. I cannot be grateful enough to finally have had the honor to live that moment when I unpacked the eBay package and turned this thing on for the first time. I even played the 2001 Space Odyssey theme song while opening the package to make it look and sound more legendary, though it was playing in my mind anyway. As it goes without saying, this is a huge notebook that you wouldn't want to be traveling with. As hard as I try to not compare this one with my recently restored M1210, there are a few commonalities that cannot be ignored. We see the same set of 7 multimedia keys, a media direct button, and several other similar design elements. Unlike on the M1210 though, here the media buttons don't feel like they're in the way as the palm rest is massive. There's also a subwoofer which reminds me of my Dell Studio, and the speakers are big and obviously super loud. Most of the ports are at the back just as I like it. There are more USB-A ports which wouldn't be that difficult to achieve on a machine this size. There's also this display latch for the massive lid, as apparently Dell wasn't confident that the hinge would keep it secure while closed. The optical drive tray comes out from the left, which I don't remember seeing in any other notebook. We have lights at 7 places, not counting the status LEDs and some illuminated keys. Funny enough, even with all these extra aesthetic lights, the keyboard still isn't backlit. Even when the machine gets warm from underneath during use, the palm rest still feels relatively cool, again probably due to the cooling space or rather volume. But even with all that space, there is no webcam. Whenever I come across machines like these, whether it be a ThinkPad or otherwise, I always imagine how the first owner of these machines may have felt back in the day. I mean, if this machine blew me away with its design today, I hope the first owner at least had half as much excitement using it back when they had bought this at full price with their hard-earned money. The machine was sold as running fine with merely 2 GB of RAM, a 100 GB mechanical hard drive, with a fresh installation of Ubuntu. It took some patience to boot into Ubuntu due to the speed of the mechanical drive. There was a broken F8 key on the keyboard, the dummy insert for the express card slot was missing, and the display hinge was a little loose. The battery wasn't in the best health, obviously, but who would use this machine on battery power anyway? There were a lot of unexpected goodies included in the sale. It included these 2 XPS branded items and a lot of discs. 2 of them were Windows XP reinstallation discs, one for drivers and utilities, and a few others that I probably won't need or use. The machine was in an even better condition than the M1210 with only a couple of minor issues that needed attention. I started with an obligatory cleanup and thermal repaste, and I expected to learn a lot of interesting things during the process. Everything was huge and spaced out as compared to the other machines I've done this on, and this gave me a lot of space to work inside exactly as I expected. Some of the screws go down a little too deep here, given how thick the chassis is, and I was at the limit of how deep my screwdriver could go in order to turn the screws. There were way more things to disconnect, but I'd still call this one of my easiest disassemblies, similar to the ThinkPad W530. The heatsink could be removed while keeping most of the things in place, of course including the bottom shell, pretty much untouched. There are two CPU fans, one of which was dirtier than the other. Both of them also house the LED lights behind the vents. Literally everything I saw inside was modular in terms of design, as if this machine was designed to be more maintainable than the other Dell models. As a side note, I also found a lot of spare parts for this Dell XPS than I could find for others on eBay. We have 3 chips that need thermal conduction, out of which there's this integrated GPU that only works with the cooling pad, and the 2 that need a thermal paste are the NVIDIA GPU and the CPU. By the way, the GPU gets a lot of special treatment here, even more so than the CPU, and is secured with these 8 screws. Given that I could complete the thermal repasting without needing to take every single thing apart, I cheated by only doing what was absolutely needed, and that mostly involved removing the dust I could reach and deep cleaning the 2 fans, which definitely needed it. By the way, I still do not know what this thing is for and what it is supposed to connect to. Then I took care of replacing the hinge, as I could not find a way to tighten them, and thankfully the replacement wasn't that hard to perform either. The replacement keyboard I ordered was really dirty, to the point that the color of the keys didn't even match with the one I had on the machine. But it was fully functional, and so was the one that came with the machine, so I decided to order a single replacement key instead. But when the spare key arrived, I realized that it appeared to sit a little lower than the rest of the keys. I finally went ahead and spent a lot of time deep cleaning the replacement keyboard, and that's what I finally used on the machine. I upgraded the RAM from 2 GBs to 4 GBs, which is the max for this Dell as well, just like the M1210. But thankfully, both of the modules are easily accessible behind the service panel below the machine. I'll talk about the storage drive upgrade when I cover the operating system installation, as there's definitely going to be a lot to cover there. I skipped the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth upgrade for this machine for a reason similar to that of the XPS M1210, which is the lack of custom BIOS with hardware whitelisting removed and my limited experience working with Dell notebooks. And yes, as I mentioned before, I wasn't too concerned about running this machine on battery power, so I skipped getting a replacement battery as well. I may do that sometime in the future if needed. I also added this dummy express card insert, for which I had to create an account at partspeople.com, as I could not find one on eBay. That's pretty much all the restoration I'll cover in this video. This notebook is special with a few proprietary elements from Dell, so for the software setup, I plan to cover that in a dedicated video. Now, I do not know about you, but the main attraction of this machine for me is these lights. Apart from being able to work with these through the operating system, the BIOS lets you do a lot with these too, and that's in fact the easiest way to configure them. The lights are divided into 4 groups: the pair in the front right below the palm rest, the pair on the 2 opposite sides behind the air vents, the pair on the lid, and the XPS text on the trackpad. The first 3 pairs can also change colors, and there are 16 choices actually, and it is also possible to change different colors for different pair of lights. The last one though just stays red. So unfortunately, even if I could switch out the angry red to a cool blue at other places, the trackpad would still stay red, and that somehow goes along well with this text. The last Dell I reviewed became my oldest notebook yet, and this one, being from the same year, becomes the largest portable computer I've tried, at least in full working condition. Oops, that was a spoiler. Technically, I also owned a ThinkPad P73 for a day, but as I had to return it the next day, I doubt it would even count. I have not configured the machine with any operating system yet, and then we also have to put it next to a few machines and have some fun comparing them. I plan to cover all that fun stuff in the next couple of videos. That's all I have for this video, and thanks for watching it to the end. May the Maker watch over you. See you in the next video.